Hello, precious one. I welcome you once again into Kenyako Mathematics Classroom. In this episode, we are going to look at how to multiply a matrix by a scalar. Then you'll be looking at how to multiply a matrix by a column matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. We'll be looking at how to multiply a row matrix by a 2 by 2 matrix. And we'll be looking at how to multiply a row matrix by a column matrix. So first, we are going to look at how best we can multiply a matrix by a scalar. How we can multiply a matrix by a scalar. So now we have multiplication of a 2 by 2 matrix. Multiplication of a 2 by 2 matrix by a scalar. Okay, so now let's assume that our matrix A equals A, B, C, D, and we are given the scalar, say, K. Now our matrix is A equals A, B, C, D, and this is a 2 by 2 matrix. I guess by now you know that this is a 2 by 2 matrix. The number of rows here is 2, the number of columns is 2. So we are looking at how we can multiply the matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix, by a scalar. The scalar is the constant. Now, when we write Ka, it means that we are multiplying the scalar by the matrix. That's how it's written. So we have K, that's our constant, being multiplied by the matrix A. And the matrix A is A, B, C, D. So we have A, B, C, D. Now, anytime you have a scalar multiplying the matrix, what is happening is the scalar will multiply all the elements of that particular matrix. So K will multiply A, K will multiply B, we have K will also multiply C, and K will also multiply D. So we are going to have K times A will give us KA, K times B will give us KB, K times C will give us KC, and K times D will give us KD. So in all, when you have a scalar multiplying a matrix, the scalar will multiply all the elements of that particular matrix. Now, let's take a look at an example. Let's assume that we are given the matrix A to be equal to, we have 1, 4, 3, 2. And you are given the scalar to be 3. You are given 3 to be the scalar. If you are asked to find, assuming that we are asked to find Ka, if you have to find Ka, it means that we are supposed to multiply the scalar by the matrix. And now, when we say Ka, this is the same as K times the matrix. Don't forget, Ka is K times the matrix. Now, we are given the K to be equal to 2. So, when we say Ka, this will be equal to K has been given to be 3. Rather, we are giving K to be 3, and the matrix A is 1, 4, 3, 2. 1, 4, 3, 2. So Ka means we are multiplying the constant or the scalar we are given by the matrix A. So because K has been given to be 3 and the matrix A is 1, 4, 3, 2. So we multiply 3 by the matrix. And this will give us, we have 3 times 1 will give us 3, 3 times 4 will give us 12. We have 3 times 3 will give us 9, and 3 times 2 will give us 6. So when we multiply K by the matrix A, this is the result. So in general, that is how we multiply a matrix by a scalar. That is how we multiply a matrix by a scalar. Now let's consider an example. Consider an example. Assuming that we are giving matrix A to be 1, 3, 2, 4. And we are giving matrix B to be 2, 3, 1, 2. Now let's assume we are asked to find I. We have to find 2A, II. We have to find 3B, and III. We have to find 2A plus 3B. So we are going to look at how best we can solve this problem. Now we are given matrix A. It's a 2 by 2 matrix, 1, 3, 2, 4. We are given the matrix B. That is 2, 3, 1, 2. We are asked to find 2A. That means you are supposed to multiply 2 by the matrix A. And here you are supposed to multiply 3 by the matrix B And here you are supposed to multiply 2 by the matrix A plus 3 times the matrix B. So now let's look at how best we can solve this problem. So solution. We are given matrix A from the question is 1, 3, 2, 4. And we are given matrix B to be equal to 2, 3, 1, 2. And now we are asked to find 2A. So 2A will be equal to 2 times the matrix A, 1, 3, 2, 4. And don't forget that when you have a scalar or a constant multiplying a matrix, the constant will multiply all the elements of the matrix. So we have 2 times 1 giving us 2, 2 times 3 giving us 6, we have 2 times 2 giving us 4, and 2 times 4 giving us 8. We are supposed to find 3B. So 3B will be equal to 3 times the matrix B. And the matrix B is 2, 3, 1, 2. And this will be equal to 3 times 2 will give us 6, 3 times 3 will give us 9. We have 3 times 1 giving us 3, and 3 times 2 is giving us 6. So our 3B is equal to 6, 9, 3, 6. And 2A is equal to 2, 6, 4, 8. Don't forget the third part of the question, you have to find 2A plus 3B. Now we already have 2A to be 2, 6, 4, 8. And our 3B equals 6, 9, 3, 6. And so if you are asked to find 2A plus 3B, then 2A is now 2, 6, 4, 8 plus. Then 3B is 6, 9, 3, 6. And now here we know how to add matrices together. When we are adding 2 by 2 matrices together, we add the corresponding entry. So the first element is added to the first element here, the second element is added to the second, the third to the third, and the fourth element is added to the fourth element here. So this will give us 2 plus 6 will give us 8, 6 plus 9 will give us 15, 4 plus 3 will give us 7, and 8 plus 6 will also give us 14. So it means that our 2A plus 3B is equal to 8, 15, 7, 14. And so that is how we multiply a scalar by a matrix. That is how we multiply a scalar by a matrix. Okay, now we continue. We are now going to look at how best we can multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. A 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. We are going to look at how best we can do that. So we are looking at how to multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. We are looking at how to multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. We are looking at how to multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. Now, let's assume that we are given the matrix A equals. We have A, B, C, D, and this is a 2 by 2 matrix. Now, let's assume we are given the column matrix. We have P equals, we have X, Y. So this is a column matrix. This is what we call the column matrix. A column matrix is a 2 by 1 matrix. You can see that we have 2 rows, we have only 1 column. So this is a column matrix. Now, how do we multiply the 2 by 2 matrix by the column matrix? Now, when we say AP means we are multiplying the matrix A, B, C, D by the column matrix. So we have A, B, C, D multiplying X, Y. And now what is happening is the first row will multiply the column matrix, and the second row will also multiply the column matrix. So we have A times X, we have A times X plus, then we have B times Y, that's B times Y. Then we have C times X, then we have D times Y, that is D times Y. And so, in simplifying this, our AP will now be equal to A times x is ax plus b times y is by. So we are going to have ax plus by. Then c times x is cx plus d times y is dy. So we are going to have cx plus dy. So when we multiply the 2 by 2 matrix by the column matrix, that is what we are getting. Now don't forget, before you can multiply two matrices together, you have to know that the number of columns of the first matrix is equal to the number of rows of the second matrix before you can multiply. If the number of columns of the first matrix is not equal to the number of rows of the second matrix, then we say that it is not commutative under matrix multiplication. Now, let's assume that we are given A, matrix A to be 1, 3, 4, 2, and we are given the column matrix to be 1, 2. If we are asked to find AP, that means that we are multiplying the matrix 1, 3, 4, 2 by the column matrix 1, 2. And this will be equal to, don't forget, we said that the first row will multiply the column matrix and the second row will multiply the column matrix. So we have 1 times 1 plus 3 times 2. So that is 1 times 1 plus 3 times 2. Then we have 1 times 1. So we are done with the top. That's 1 times 1 plus 3 times 2. Then the second row also multiply the column matrix. So we have 4 times 1 plus 2 times 2. And that is 4 times 1 plus 2 times 2. And this will be equal to 1 times 1 is 1 plus 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 times 2 is also 4. And this will be equal to, we have 1 plus 6 is 7, then 4 plus 4 is 8. So when we multiply the 2 by 2 matrix 1, 3, 4, 2 by the column matrix 1, 2, then the answer is also a column matrix, that is 7, 8. So don't forget, when you multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix, the answer must be a column matrix, and that is what you are seeing. So in general, that is how we multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a column matrix. Now we are going to look at how to multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a row matrix. A 2 by 2 matrix by a row matrix. Now, with the multiplication of a 2 by 2 matrix by a row matrix, we rather multiply the row matrix by the 2 by 2 matrix. Now, let's assume that we are given the matrix A to be A, B, C, D, and we have the row matrix P, then we have X, Y. So this is what we call the row matrix. That's what we call the row matrix. And this is the 2 by 2 matrix. Now, take note that when you look at this, the number of columns of this is 2, but the number of rows here is 1. That's why we call this the row matrix. Now, because the number of columns here is not equal to the number of rows here, we cannot multiply AP, but rather we have to multiply PA. Why are we saying PA? We are saying PA because when you look at P, if you have PA, when you check the row matrix P, you can see that we have 2 columns. Then when you look at A, you can see that we have 2 rows. So because the number of columns of the P is equal to the number of rows of the A, that means we can multiply. So PA will be, now we have X, Y, that's our row matrix, multiplying, we have A, B, C, D. We have A, B, C, D. So we have the row matrix now multiplying the 2 by 2 matrix A, B, C, D. Now this will be equal to X times A. So we have X times A plus Y times C. And we have Y times C. Then we have X times B. That is X times B. Then we have plus Y times C. Y times D, Y times D. So that is how we multiply the row matrix by 2 by 2. That's how we multiply the row matrix by a 2 by 2 matrix. So the X will multiply A plus Y will multiply C. Then X will multiply B plus Y will multiply D. Then we simplify. Now this will be equal to X times A will give us AX plus. This will give us CY. Then X times B will also give us BX plus D times Y will give us DY. So in general, when we multiply the row matrix by 2 by 2 matrix, that is what we are getting. So let's take a look at an example. Assuming that we are given the matrix A to be 1, 3, we have 4, 2. And we are given the row matrix P to be equal to 1, 2. So that's the row matrix. Now, don't forget that we are rather multiplying P by A, because the number of columns of the P is equal to the number of rows of A. So we rather multiply P by A, not A by P. So our P, the row matrix, is 1, 2, and the 2 by 2 matrix is 1, 3, 4, 2. So now this will be equal to, don't forget that we are multiplying 1 by 1 plus 2 by 4, then 1 by 3 plus 2 by 2. So we are going to have 1 times 1 plus 2 times 4, that is 2 times 4. Then 1 times 3 plus 2 times 2, that is 2 times 2. So to simplify this, 1 times 1, we have 1 plus 2 times 4 is 8. The 1 times 3, we have 3 plus 2 times 2 is 4. So simplifying, 1 plus 8 will give us 9, and 3 plus 4 will give us 7. So don't forget that when we multiply a row matrix also by 2 by 2 matrix, the result is also a row matrix. When we multiply a row matrix by a 2 by 2 matrix, the result is also a row matrix. So in general, that is how we multiply. In general, that is how we multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a row matrix. A 2 by 2 matrix by a row matrix. Now we are going to look at how to multiply a row matrix by a column matrix. A row matrix by a column matrix. So let's assume we are given the row matrix P equals, we have A, B, and we have the column matrix. The column matrix, that is A, to be equal to, let's assume we have the column matrix A equals X, Y. So this is the row matrix AB. Then we have the column matrix XY. So we are looking at how to multiply the row matrix by the column matrix. Now the row matrix P is A, B, and the column matrix is XY. So we have XY. Now how do we simplify this? Take note that we are able to multiply the row matrix by the column matrix, because when you look at this, you realize that the number of columns of this first matrix is 2, and the number of rows of the second matrix is also 2. And because the number of columns of this row matrix is equal to the number of rows of the column matrix, then we can multiply. And so in multiplying, we have A times X plus B times Y. So we have A times X, then we have plus B times Y, B times Y. So this will be equal to A times X is AX, then B times Y will be BY. So when we multiply the row matrix by the column matrix, this is what we are getting. And let's take a look at an example so that we can understand what we are actually talking about. I guess you are following. Now, example, assuming that we are given the row matrix P to be equal to 1, 2, and we are given the column matrix A to be equal to, we have 3, 2. Now, if we are multiplying P by A, then our P is 1, 2, and our A is 3, 2. So we are multiplying the row matrix 1, 2 by the column matrix 3, 2. And this will be equal to, we have 1 times 3, that is 1 times 3. Then we have plus 2 times 2, that is 2 times 2. So 1 times 3 will give us 3, then 2 times 2 will give us 4. The result is 7. So when we multiply a row matrix by a column matrix, we are getting a constant. When we multiply a row matrix by a column matrix, we are getting a constant. So take note of that. So that will be all for now on this episode.